Thank you. Thank you, Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Oh, lovely to see you all. Are you a bit tired? Are you okay? Look at our weather. Aren't we blessed? I love all these notes. Who left this one? Nobody left this one?
Magic.
Magic. I've been getting all these. Oh, shall I read it to you? View your life with kind sight. Stop beating yourself up about things from your past. Instead of slapping your forehead and asking, what was I thinking? Breathe and ask yourself the question, what was I learning? Nice. I like all these anonymous kind of quotes. That's great. That's great. Okay, the talk this afternoon is Satya, or truthfulness. This morning we spoke about the ego, how to purify the ego. And we also talked about not looking outside for happiness, but examining oneself. And whilst examining yourself, finding yourself, then you can start to purify your ego. So this afternoon we're going to speak about truthfulness. And then I'd like to do a little something with you to find out where your truth lies, for you to find out. Not for me, I know where my truth lies. But you have to find out where your truth lies. You know, all the greatest saints say that by the practice of truthfulness, as Sri Patanjali, all nature is subservient. What does that mean? All nature serves a truthful person. When we talk about truth, many people think, oh, you don't tell a lie. But truth is not so simple. Truth is not a personal truth or lie, but truth is what really is. Not your truth or somebody else's truth, but what really is. We all have our truths. This is my truth. You have your truth. But real truth is beyond both. So how do you understand the real meaning of Satya? By first practicing, and really practicing, are you clear about your own truthfulness? We have many ideas. For example, I have many people who come to me and tell me, I'm not really smart, I don't really have a brain. And I ask them, why do you say that? Oh, I didn't, for example, we have Jasmine, one of our students in Gibraltar. I've known her for nearly 20 years now. And she doesn't mind me telling her story, so I can tell it. When she first came to Raj Yoga classes, she kept on saying, I'm not smart. And I said, why? She said, I never went to school. I left at the age of 15. I can't study. I said, I want you to take the Raja Yoga TT with me. It's the first group of teachers I trained. And she goes, I can't, I'm really dumb, I'm really stupid. And I said, and you'll have to learn to speak in this course. You have to give 7 talks, Oh, Nalanie, I can't. And I said, I never force anybody to do any course. But I said, you must. Something told me I must tell her this, And she was one of these students that I really forced. And she was very nervous and she was shaking. And within that class, there were about 15 or 16. And I always teach it over a year, and so that people really learn to practice the fundamentals of Raj Yoga. So the first few times she was very nervous, she couldn't talk, and she was amongst people with, university degrees, and so she felt very inferior. To cut a long story short, she gave one of the best talks at her final, because it was the most sincere and straight from here. Since then, she teaches all the time with Karen at the yoga center. She's also studied nutrition, hasn't she? And she's she's qualified now, and she does a lot of consultations. And this was a woman who believed. Yeah, she really truthfully believed that she couldn't do anything with her life. And then she came from a very negative background, where her mother was always putting her down. Then she got married to a man who was always putting her down. So that belief became her truth, but it was not the truth. Do you see what I'm saying? So you have to understand your human personality first before you can transcend to the higher spirit. You have to clean your act up first. So by cleaning up her act, she's grown in energy. And today she has so many people who love her. You know, I go on, isn't it true, Karen? So many people go to her for advice and we look at each other and go, this is the same girl who believed she couldn't do anything, you know? And she's so popular and she shares the vice chair now of Integral Yoga Center Gibraltar with Lakshmi. So you see, you just don't know where you can go when you seek the real truth. And how did she come to that? It was with a lot of practice, by rediscovering herself and not what she'd been bombarded with most of her life, not being good enough. When she realized she could be good enough, then an inner force, you know, what I call the God force. Remember I say, when you look after yourself, the gods come and look after you. When she started to really try and excel, she got the God force. And the God force takes over. So sometimes we think in our human personality we are only capable of so much. But when you get in touch with that universal force, you can do much more. And this is why you can say, really, I don't know how I did that. It's not really me, you know. But it comes from a truthful place. You know, many people when they start yoga, they go, oh, I'm just an instrument and God is using me. And you can see God is not using them at all. You know that look, don't you know that look?
Yes.
You know? And it's so fake and it sounds so insincere. And they go, oh, God is doing it. I didn't teach the class. God taught the class. So, well, I'm not coming to that class again, you know? And then it comes from, then there is that comes with practice and time, a wisdom with the practice, with the understanding your own truths. There comes real knowledge. It goes, and then you can feel, you know, when they say, you know, I really don't know how I did that class. It's something greater than me that took over. And then you can feel that that is really true. Because when it's really true, the words are the same. But truthfulness holds an energy to it that untruthfulness doesn't. Do you see? People can say the same thing. I love you and I love you. And there is a difference. One is words, mind stuff. Easy to think if I just say this and it's done and finished. And the other one is from deep, from the soul. And when you live from the soul, then you live real truth. When you live from mind stuff, you are living temporary truth. Perception is still a bit distorted. Are you understanding? Yeah? The perception is not clear, it's your truth. So it can't be really true. It actually, in a way, is a falsehood. And you don't even know it. So when you get in touch with your real truth, things that you never believed possible happen. Really happen, because now you are taking from the powerhouse. You're not taking from your individual ego, I, me, and mine. You're taking from your spiritual strength, which is the powerhouse of God, the life force. And that life force is abundant. It's totally abundant. You don't have to keep repeating, I am abundant, I am abundant. Rubbish, it doesn't help. You can do it. Many people have done it for years and years. Oh no, they've done it for so many years and I'm still not rich. It's not about lip service. Abundance is knowing. You know because you experience. That's the only way you can know. If you don't experience, you cannot know. That's all book knowledge. And if it's book knowledge and you're just speaking with your mouth, you will be very disillusioned with life. A lot of pain and struggle will come to you unnecessarily because you're working from book knowledge and not experience. When you work from experience, there is so much proof. Because so many miracles will come to you. And miracles are not something fancy like a great vision or something. Miracles come very simply in life. For example, suddenly when you live your truth, as Sri Patanjali says, by the practice of truthfulness, all nature becomes subservient. It serves you, right? So for example, when you are living the real truth, soul truth, what happens? You make a request. You will see very quickly it will be answered. Very quickly. You know, I remember the first time I experienced this was I was sitting in my hall. I just started my sitting room. And those days in Gibraltar, you couldn't get mangoes. And I used to love Indian mangoes. Indian mangoes, huh? Mm-hmm. And I was sitting in my sitting room thinking, I really would love an Indian mango. 2 minutes later, my front door goes. It's an apartment building. I'm on the 8th floor. Who comes to visit me at this time? So open the door. This young boy comes. Oh, my aunt said that she got an Indian mango and she knows you love it. So here's one for you. 2 minutes later. What are the chances of that? Yeah. And when I first started meditating, I remember I couldn't really still the mind so much. And I thought, I needed some support. I needed some support. So what happens is, I used to work in a shop full-time, managing my husband's business. So I was in the shop working, and this lady comes in, out of the blue. And she said, you know, you brought that wonderful master a few months ago to Gibraltar, and I just wanted to give you this. So she gave me a cassette, temple music in the forest or something. So that night, I go home, I put on that temple music, and I go totally into meditation. I asked for some kind of support, and it came. And that temple music really was my teacher, because it had such little lovely bells, and I put words to it. Because I didn't have a mantra in those days, right? So I put, oh dearest God, I love you so, I love you so, I love you so. It was like a little bells. And that's what, and of course, as you think, it becomes, right? So when I'm saying I love you, God, so much, at that time God was there and I was here. But I was saying it with so much love that in time God came here. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the love comes from my heart. And that's the kind of truthfulness that makes all nature subservient to you, to all of us. I mean, Sri Patanjali wrote it in the book of Yoga Sutras. I didn't make it up. And when I studied it a few years later, when I did the Raj Yoga with Swami Karunananda and Reverend Jagannath, and when I read that sutra, my God, it blew my mind. And I go, only if I practice this in my life. And you see so many miracles. And so many people who are in the yoga path in our, now I've been there 18 years, some students I've seen grown up, you know? And I have seen that nature becomes subservient to their needs. I mean, why go so far? Lakshmi, Shanti, whenever they want to travel, I don't know what they have. They have a travel money, a guru. Every time she travels, she sells a property in her real estate to cover the cost, you know. And Lakshmi is the same. You know, I say they have a travel guru. They just have to, because there's so much in service, whatever they need is given. And me, my life, I feel is abundant, you know. It's abundant. And I don't even work for a living. It's so interesting. And it just comes. Whatever you need just comes. But this is, you have to build up the truth and you have to build up your faith, all right? So now I'm going to ask you some personal questions for you to answer for you. And I want you to write down truthfully to yourself, because nobody's going to look at this. Yes?
There are, just so people know, there are extra pads of paper in this corner here if you don't have paper.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you. You're so considerate.
I can pass them out. You just raise your hand.
Does anybody need anything to write on? Shanti, will you give them some kirtan booklets or something?
The pad, is it? Okay, thanks. Remember.
No. I have, thank you. I just have to find it.
Ask and you shall receive.
She brings it. Thank you. No, do you know the thing is, I just bought myself a little pen from the Lotus shop, and it says truth is one parts of many, so I was a bit excited to use it. But I must have put it somewhere in there. I can't find it now. You know, it's funny how little things can make you so happy, right?
Yeah.
And you know, these little things make me so happy.
Which color did you get?
Purple. It's my
Okay.
favorite color. Yeah. So anyway, so let's go. First question. What is your best quality? Do you use your quality to serve others spiritually or to share it? Do you use your quality? Do you share your quality with others? Does your best quality coincide with your dreams and goals? Does it coincide with the work you are doing now? Are you using it now in your everyday life, work-wise? Are you content where you are now? Are you content? If not, why? Why aren't you? What is the reason? What is the cause? Be truthful. What do you feel is lacking? Be very truthful. What is the foremost thought in your mind? In other words, what thought keeps recurring in your mind constantly? What thought? What thought? What powerful thought? Because there's always one or two very strong thoughts that maybe you put to the side, but they keep coming up. They keep coming up. What are they? Don't deny them. See them very clearly. It normally has to do with a desire you have. That's right, my end to you. It normally has to do with a desire. But admit it and write it down. Does that thought disturb you? Does this constant thought disturb you? If it does, what are you doing about it practically? Rather than keep it in your mind, what are you doing about it practically in an everyday worldly way? What is your greatest fear? Are you always seeking attention? Do you love yourself? And if you do, write it in bold letters. And if you don't, you better learn to. Because you're divine. Are you selfish? Is it always about you? Can you communicate easily with everyone? And if not, why not? Do you get angry easily? Are you over emotional and very sensitive? What mostly is the first thought that you think when you get up in the morning? Are you aware? Are you aware of that first thought? Do you have conversations with God? When are you most peaceful?
What was that?
When are you most peaceful?
Okay.
What do you love most in your life? Who do you love most in your life? Is that reciprocated? Is that love reciprocated? Are you still hurt from past pains? You still feel angry and hurt about anything? Do you laugh enough?
I think yes.
Some yes, some not enough.
Well, yes, yes.
Do you feel lonely?
Feel what?
Lonely? Do you feel lonely? Do you believe you will achieve your goal? Do you believe you will achieve your goals? Do you believe it? And if you do, write a big, huge yes that takes the whole page. So remind yourself when things don't go so right that you're going to reach it. A big yes. And if you feel like a little doubt, write a big question mark in the page and say, why should I doubt? Didn't Gurudev say, if you have complete faith, nothing is impossible. So put that question mark and say, why? If I have complete faith, nothing is impossible. That means your faith is not strong yet. Well, answer yourself. You'll get your own answers. So what can you do? List, bullet point list, what you can do to build up your inner strength and faith. Give yourself what is most comfortable for you. Some people like to write, some people like to do many things, right? Paint to build up their faith. What do you like to do? Meditate, whatever you like that builds up this feeling of joy and faith, where you see God existing, or the power, or the life force existing, or the cosmic consciousness existing in your life. What makes that feeling come alive? What makes that come alive? And then finally, if you want to achieve anything in life, you should memorize this sutra, Sutra 14, Sri Patanjali, Book 1. which is practice becomes firmly grounded. Practice becomes firmly grounded. Write this down. When done for a long time, without a break, and with all your heart. He says with all earnestness. For me, it's with all your heart. Devotion, dedication, love. You want to be successful in anything in this world. And spiritually, that is the formula. If you look at any successful business person, they use the same formula. The only unfortunate thing is they don't have the spirituality with it, so it brings a lot of stress and fears. And that's what's missing in many people from the corporate world, because they don't have the spirit in their work or the charity in their work. It builds up fear. But if they have spirituality in their work, wow, they reach great heights. SIS is a charity that we run, and a few members here. We went to India in February, and we met some of the most incredible human beings. We went to pay for 400 eye operations, correct, Lakshmi? And we went to this hospital, Shankara Hospital, and we met the head of this hospital called Dr. Romany. And this doctor was so incredibly phenomenal. How he started was, him and his wife, they were both doctors, and then they saw that India was so rife with so many diseases, and they didn't know where to serve. And finally they found out that so many people in the villages were going blind. That eye problem was a big problem genetically in India as well. So what they decided to do is both husband and wife decided to specialize, because they thought, if you're blind and you can't see, what kind of life quality are you going to have? So they decided to make people see. So they started off with a little home, doing many free operations, and obviously some paid. The paid operations paid for the free ones, right? Covered the cost of that. And from there, other doctors saw their work, joined in, and soon when we went there, they had this huge state-of-the-art hospital, latest equipment, people from Europe coming to study there, and run on the same system. One whole section of the hospital, free operations. They do 200 free operations every day. Every day. And not only did they have that hospital, now it was all over India. I think it was, 16, he told us? Something like that. And not only that, it's all based on spiritual values. What they do is they have these buses, they send them to the villages, because these people have no communication in the villages. They look for these old people that are going blind or suffering, or children. They take them in the van, they bring them to the hospital for 2 or 3 days, they feed them, they clothe them, they operate them, and they take them back. They also get girls from villages, or boys, and train them for 2 years, so that they can go to the other hospitals to serve, and get a job, and get training. So it's a wheel of service, and it's we were amazed to see the work. And I was telling Lakshmi, people think we do good, we do nothing. We do absolutely nothing compared to these people. And Dr. Romany, he took us around himself. He was just, you would think he looked like a businessman with a, properly dressed, etc. But the amount of tears came to his eyes when he showed us the DVD of the work they were doing. You could see it was all from the heart, all from love. And and the growth and the abundance did not give him an inflated ego. In fact, it made him feel very humble that the universe was so generous and so kind to make this so abundant. It's really quite phenomenal to watch. Quite phenomenal. When you put spirit into work and you do it for a long time without a break and all your heart, you see the result. And you know, we went to that hospital and it's packed. I mean, the corridors are packed, right? Chrissy, Lakshmi, Shanti were with me, and it was packed. All the staff happy. All of them happy and joyful. You would think they'd be totally stressed out. You go to a Western hospital, they're always stressed out. Fill out this form, honey. You know, and nobody's happy. You go to Europe as well. Fill the form in, please. You know, and you know you're sick and you walk in the hospital. You want to walk out.
Yeah. Not worry.
And yeah, and you go here, and half the time they're serving people they're not, you know, paying a penny. And there's such a joy in all the stuff. And the secret was they felt useful. You know, Gurudev says, in order to be happy, you have to have a peaceful, easeful, and useful life. If your life is not useful, you cannot be happy. And when is it not useful? Again, go back to the truth of all the things you've answered. When you're into the I mode, when you're in selfish mode, I want, I need, I have to, you become unuseful. Notice people who are always talking about their own problems. They're very unuseful. They're very unhappy. Notice people who are not always talking about their own problems, but looking to serve. They're very useful. They're very happy. Simple arithmetic. So you don't have to study much to be spiritual. Just look, the world will teach you. Follow the examples of those. Why do you have to keep complaining? And Sri Patanjali also tells us, by the practice of contentment, what happens?
Supreme joy is gained.
That's right.
TT's?
That one is yours.
No, I did it, just to share the joke. I did a Raj Yoga teacher training in 2009 in Portugal, and there was a few of them, and they all have to give talks. And this young lady, who happens to be my niece called Laku, she gave it, her talk was talking about contentment, you know, the practice of contentment. So when she came on, she said, today I'm going to talk about contentment. And that's exactly what she said. By the practice of contentment, she went, supreme joy is gained. And everybody in the room just started laughing, you know. So I told her I'd steal that from her, you know. And so every time we speak about contentment, supreme joy is gained. Supreme, not even a little. And that's what happens when we're content. We cannot be content until we find out where we are. Many people I have noticed are very muddled in their mind. I want to do this, but I have this goal too. I want to do that, and I have this goal too. So if you find a quality that you are very good at, right? Think about the quality, what I talked about right in the beginning, that you are very good at, and see how you can apply that quality. Practice it for a long time without a break in all your heart with meditation. How you can use this quality to further you forward in service. You will be successful. But you have to have the courage to follow your dreams. You know, many people have wonderful ideas. I have met such incredibly talented people in my life. Oh, Nalanie, one day I'm going to paint. Great, why don't you start now? You have the talent. Look at this drawing, it's brilliant. Wish I could draw like you. I had to go to a fine art school for so many years, and you just have this naturally. Yeah, one day I'll do it. I'm going to do this, I'm going to have an exhibition. When I'm 40, 45 comes. Yeah, where's your exhibition? Oh, I'm really busy, I'll do it tomorrow. But you're so unhappy. Maybe if you did that, you could get a little joy. Yeah, but I'm too busy, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then they come, they have they have depression because there's no joy in their life. Because they're not following their truth, do you see? They're always delaying. And I go, you're Your problem is you're too scared of your own light. That's where people suffer the most. They're scared to shine. Sometimes they're scared. What if? What if? They're scared of themselves. They're frightened of what they're capable of doing. And stop themselves. You know, it's a very common word, self-sabotage. I see it all the time. When people tell me, oh, I can never get a good relationship, that's self-sabotage. As you think, it will happen. If you think I'll never get a good relationship, guess what? You're not. You're not. Because when you do, you're not even going to recognize it. It's going to come in your face, and you're not even going to see it. Because you've already had that thought, I am not. Change it. What would you do with a person like that? Tell them, wow, the universe knows exactly what I need. Take your time, send me the best. Change it. I deserve it. I deserve it. Not self-sabotage. Everybody deserves it. Why not? It's not selfish. Does it cause any harm? No. Some benefit. What is a perfect action? Gurudev tells us. An action that will give some benefit to someone, no harm to anyone, yourself included. So how can that bring harm? Oh, because I may not be good enough. Because you're not good enough, you're going to look at faults. You're going to find anybody that comes your way, all their faults. Because you're really reflecting yourself. You're really reflecting yourself. So unless you clean up your own act, you will never have an ideal relationship. You will never be comfortable. There will always be problems because you're constantly looking for your own fault in somebody else. So that's why, again and again, find the truth within you. Stop pointing outwards and blaming. Gurudev said it again and again. When you point this way, look, there are 4 fingers pointing back that way. 4 pointing your direction. So don't try to fix the world. Fix yourself. And by fixing yourself, you transform. It's so much easier. You know, I just cannot understand why people keep resisting this ability that they have to transform themselves. Why? I sometimes get so confused by that. You know, you have the answers. Why don't you go forward? And again, it's fear. In all these years of counseling, I have seen fear is very frightening. It's a big thing in many people's minds. What if I look foolish? What if I get rejected? Big deal. Who doesn't get rejected in life? Think you're the only one? Think again, that's a huge ego. We all get rejection one time or another in our life. But also, we also get praise. Also, we get the other side. But we never remember the good. We only remember the bad. And when we focus on that, the negative, our life will be negative. And then we blame God. Or we blame the universe. You know, I love this story because this is so true. So many people come to me. So many, it's not one, but I'll give you this particular one because it's the clearest one. Come to my office. I go. They tell me, you know, Nalanie, I go every day to church. Every day I light a candle. Every day I say to God, I pray. I'm a good person. I do no wrong. But God never answers my wish. Right? And then I tell them, okay, sit down on my chair. I'm going to switch off the light in my office. I have a very small office and it's no windows. So it can be quite dark. It can go pitch black. Switch off all the lights. And I move away. And I said, I want you to sit here and pray for light. So I'm next to her and she goes, what do you mean? I said, pray. Like you go into your church every day, pray. So she sat there, God give me light, God give me light, God give me light. I said, harder, cry, you want light. God give me light. No, what you're making me do? I said, precisely. What do you have to do to get the light? Switch it on. And I noticed so many people complain about the same thing again and again and again and again and again. So I said, change your chip. It's not working. Why do you want to say the same thing again and again and again? Haven't you heard yourself? Aren't you giving yourself a huge headache? It's not working. Gurudev said if you plant a seed and you try to you plant a seed and then you water it and you water it and it doesn't come, does it come? Plant another seed. What, you spend 10 years? Please grow, please grow. It doesn't want to grow. You're forcing it to grow. You're forcing it. We do that to people. Change for me, change for me. Not going to, because you don't change for you. Why should they change for you? We're always telling people to change for us. Why don't we change for ourselves first? Very selfish. I think many relationships I see today get me very upset. They cause so much pain because they are so selfish. The other person always has to change for them. Why can't they change? Why can't you make the sacrifice? And I tell yogis, why are you doing this to your partner? Oh, because their partner should be this, this, this. Why should they? Do they tell that to you? How insulting is it? If you really love them and you can't get along, then speak honestly and communicate. But don't batter somebody else. You take away their confidence. You take away their light. You take away everything that means something to them by battering them. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. Why? Because you're not good enough. And that is so painful. And that, to me, is violence. In a very deep, deep, deep way. Better to be truthful. Better to finish than to torture somebody for years. I've seen people break down. Totally, all confidence lost. Battered by the other partner. And because why? They had confidence. And somebody comes into their life, finds it a challenge, there's a subtle competition, so they try to make the other person weak. Total manipulation. That is not love. That is ownership. Oh, if you are too popular, then, you'll leave me behind. And I'm not willing to back you because you should back me. I've seen it in so many relationships. It's incredible. Now, why you get together if it's not in harmony, if not working together, laughing together, talking together? You don't agree, give each other space. No big deal. But don't make another person feel bad just because you want to feel good about you. That is the height of selfishness. It takes two hands to clap. Always. And this is what you have to be truthful. How are you practicing truthfulness? How are you practicing non-violence in your life? Because when you really, really practice it from the very truthful depth, you cannot do that to any human being. You will be so totally truthful and honest. Communication. Look, maybe we're not the same. Maybe this was a little bit of a mistake. I don't want to batter you. Why don't we try? Can we work together? And sometimes you can't. I've seen some people just can't. And others really can. I've seen people change when they work together. But the basis of a solid relationship with anyone is truthfulness. How many times, I've heard, oh, my best friend knew this and she never told me, or he never told me. This is my best friend. He should have told me. Hurt me that he didn't tell me. So, truthfulness is very, very, very important. In order to get to the highest spiritual truths, you must know your own truth and where are you coming from. Are you coming from selfishness? Are you coming from selflessness? Be very clear in your mind. If you are clear, when you get rid of all that debris, then the universe can work. the force can work with you. It will work to help you out of any rift, out of any painful breakages, out of any grief, sorrow. It will help you because you're working with the truth. Not out of self-sabotage, not out of manipulation, not for power, not for fame, but just because you are. And while you are in this body, to be the best you can be in this body, that's all we have to do. The kindest we can be, the most compassionate we can be, the most understanding we can be. And if we can't start with forgiving ourselves, how on earth are we going to forgive anybody else? So if you find yourself a little hard with people, know that you are very hard on yourself. And when, like Lakshmi said, learning compassion, when you find you are not compassionate for other people's weakness, then you are not compassionate on yourself. So if you can accept other people's weaknesses, you can accept your own weaknesses. Because you realize it's not a fault, that each one comes with their lessons, each one comes with their dharma, each one comes with their good qualities and their bad qualities, just like you. And each one is loved. And all each one has to do is ask and practice and work towards it, and they'll receive. And another truth that you really, really, really need to know, because it is the truth, that we are constantly really looked after. Constantly loved. Good and bad comes from our own karma, our own cause and effect. What we sow is what we will reap. Nothing else. There is no divine energy punishing us. Doesn't know how to do that. We know how to do that as human beings. It's like Gurudev always said, a knife, is it good or bad? It's neither. If you use it for surgery to help somebody, then and person heals, is good. If a thief uses it to kill someone, it's bad. So this power force, which we call God or spirit or energy, is just power. By meditation, by sitting down and keeping silent, you're connecting with that power. How you use that power is up to what kind of thoughts you have in your mind. So if your mind is full of anger, that power will magnify that anger. Did you hear me? Will magnify it. It's not that anybody's bringing you bad luck. It's just you thinking it, and now you're meditating, so now it's expanding. Because the power doesn't judge. It just gives you whatever you think. So if your thought is loving, the moment you get up in the morning, a new day. You know, I saw my father do this. I'm very grateful to my father. He had cancer the last 10 years of his life, a lot of pain. And you know, whenever I went to stay with him in hospital or at home, the first thing he would do when he would open his eyes, he'd force himself to sit up. And he goes, "Thank you, God, for a new day." Every day. In supreme pain. Chrissy, you know Dad. It's our granddad. Was he not a saint? So, you know, when you see that kind of lit human being and that energy, that he didn't even have to say anything. The whole family just loved him. All his brothers adored him. All his sister-in-laws adored him. I don't know one person who didn't adore him. And he ran a business, and he ran his life with a deep, grounded love and appreciation for everything. I remember when I was 14, one day I came home, and he had businesses in Vietnam. He used to make military uniforms. And I came home from school, and we were living in this big house. And I heard him tell Mom, never comes home 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I heard him tell Mom, all our shops have been bombed. We've lost everything. And Mom says, what are we going to do? And I hear him from my bedroom say, Chandra, I started with nothing. We came to this earth with nothing. So why are you worried? I just have to work and everything will come back again. And really, that's exactly what happened, a very short period of time. Mind you, it was a hard work and totally was in the know. That all I have to do is work hard with love, not complain, start again, that's it. Many of us delay the goodness in our life because when something negative happens to us, instead of moving on and trusting and having faith, we sit on it for years. I've seen people waste an entire life of 20, 30 years on something negative because they just won't move on. And it's scary. For me, it's very scary because our life is very short. I'm telling you, it's very short. My husband was 60. He had 6 weeks' notice for his death. Coughing, next thing we know, stage 4 cancer. 6 weeks' notice. You don't know when it's going to hit you. We had no idea. I took a photograph with him in September on our 34th anniversary. Vibrant, if you look at the photograph. Just had a little cough. No other sign. And then you think, like this. You just don't know. And my mission now is to tell everybody I meet, don't waste your life being unhappy. Don't waste it, don't waste it. It's so precious. It's so precious. We've come to earth for a certain reason. And by all our, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm not good enough, not able to make decisions, you will get nowhere. Better to make a mistake and make a decision than to do nothing at all. Because if you make a mistake, at least you made a mistake. Didn't you hear Swami Vivekananda? Great saint, Swami Vivekananda. He said he learned from his mistakes. And we are too proud to admit we make mistakes. Oh my God. Big egos, no? Big egos. You make a mistake, admit it quick. My fault, sorry. Get on. Let's go to the next chapter. Don't waste time. Licking your wounds. Sure, you're only wasting your life, nobody else's. If you're unhappy, you don't waste anybody else but yours. Because then you are sitting in that sorrow, and while you're sitting in that sorrow, no good will be attracted to you. Why? Because that is the law of nature. Like attracts like. All scientific. All scientific. And the only person you have to blame all the time is yourself. And I don't even think it's blame. I wouldn't even call it blame. I call it using your intelligence to see where you've made a mistake. And as Gurudev would say, if you made a mistake, make another take. That's it. Change the chip. No big deal. You're not being picked on. Everybody else is too.